both of those companies have done an awesome job with packaging courses for all types of things. And they're self-paced courses that you can take at your own leisure. This is a great time now more than ever, right? That you can familiarize yourself with all types of things. My team, we get together a lot of times and we're like, how do you do this in Microsoft Word, or how do you do this in PowerPoint? Because these tools are often updating. And so what happens in the link that I dropped to you, it gives you some great information as it relates to accessibility tools. And so today we have a full house because you guys came because you were interested in learning about the various accessibility tools. So I have a question before we get started, and we'll see how you guys answer it. In our district, are we a Microsoft district or are we a Google district? Tell me in the chat, what's your answer to that question? Are we a Microsoft district or are we a Google district? Deanna, yes, wonderful. Some people got my trick. It was a trick question. We actually have access to both. Okay, so when you check your email, you check your district email through Microsoft 365, and you have all of those components you have access to. But on the flip side, you have access to Google tools as well. And you have the majority of Google tools. The one you most definitely will not have, of course, is Google Classroom, because we have Canvas, but there are perks to being able to have both. And so a lot of times we get the question on our team, like, which is better? Do you guys prefer, which one's better? Is Google better or is Microsoft better? And I like to use the analogy of Coke and Pepsi.
Trying to put your face on it?
It's basically your preference. What do you prefer? Trina, if you could go ahead and mute your microphone for me, please. Thank you so much. So it's basically preference. And so today we're going to learn about accessibility tools in both Microsoft accessibility tools and Google accessibility tools. And these tools are for every classroom, for every student. And I am going to bargain to say that for every grown-up as well. Our team, a lot of times we look at stuff and we're like, hey, I could use this. You know, we're always talking about how to help the kids, but there are some great tools that will help you as well. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And I am going to start today with Microsoft accessibility tools. Okay. So I'm going to go into let me share my screen with you guys. I'm going to pull up a Word document. So this Word document is actually a permission slip that I used. Where's the date? 2017 for my students. We were going to the Bodies exhibit downtown Atlanta, and this is the permission slip that we used. Let me ask a question in the chat. Do you guys, like, let's just say for open house or for letters being translated, how do you guys get things translated in your buildings? If you're sending home correspondence, how do you guys handle getting things translated? Okay, very good. So some people are fortunate enough that their ESOL teacher is able to do that. Wonderful. That is awesome. In my building, we had a teacher. We did have an ESOL teacher. However, she was split between two schools. And so we would submit documents to her, and then she would get those items translated for us. So that was awesome. That's a blessing. However, sometimes you might need to translate some verbiage, maybe an email, maybe a letter home, and you need that quickly. Within Microsoft Word, you have access to a translator. Did you guys know that? Tell me in the chat. Did you guys know that that was a feature within Microsoft? Very good. So let's look up here across the top. So across the top, I have all of my tabs. I am going to click the tab that says Review. Okay. So now that I have my Review tab open, We have all these things across the top. I am most familiar with using the spell check and grammar tool here under review. And of course, you have your thesaurus and you have your word count. But if you scroll under the section that says language, there is an icon that says translate. So I'm going to click that. The drop-down menu gives you options. You can translate the entire document, or you can translate selected text. So I could come to my document and let's just say I can highlight a portion of my document. If I were to come over here and highlight just a portion and I go back to my review tab, I could drop down and just say, I just want this portion of my text, the selected text translated. But for this purpose, I would want the entire document translated. So I'm going to click this first option that says translate document. When I click that, it's going to give you an option to choose the language from which you want to translate it to. So it's going to automatically pick up that I am typing in English, and then it's going to say translate to. You have a host of options of what language you're going to translate to. So if I click my drop down, I have all of these options as to what I am going to translate to. Now, in our district, we do have English language learners that often we almost always default to think Spanish speaking as first language, but let's make sure that we also understand that there are English language students that are from all different countries speaking all different languages. And so the great thing about this tool is that there are so many options to choose from. And so let's translate this document to French. I'm going to click French, and then it says, then all I have to do is click the button that says OK. Now it's going to give you a little pop-up that says to translate your document, your text will be sent to the internet to a third party. And I say, okay, yes, I want to proceed. So when that happens, I'm going to make that big. So what it did was it sent it to a third party outside of the Word desktop version. And so now this is my document translated into French. Now, some of the portions of your document may not end up being translated. Like if you scroll down here, you can see that some of it was not, but for the most part, the basic, the majority of the document was able to be translated. Tell me what you guys think about that. So to me, this is a great option when you may not have access to a translator as quickly as you would want to. So that is an awesome, awesome, awesome feature. Your translate tab is found under the review option. Okay. So I want to just stay in Word for a little while and show you guys a few other things. When I was thinking about this training, the first thing that came to mind, I was like, accessibility. You guys know the image of like covering your ears, hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Yes, no, yes. Okay, yes. So I was thinking that I was thinking of accessibility for our eyes, accessibility for hearing, and accessibility for speech. And so that kind of is driving the way that this is organized. So right now we are looking at the different accessibility for eyes or for reading. So we looked at translating. The other thing I wanted to show you as it relates to our eyes is, if you notice right now, I'll double click so you can see. Are you ever distracted by all of, like, sometimes this is a lot. So under my home tab, and I have all of these options and seeing everything. This is just a simple, this is free. You may not have come for this, but this is just a simple little, sometimes that can be a little overwhelming to look at. If you double click your tab, that it smushes, it minimizes all of those other options. And it just sometimes is easier to read and easier to digest sometimes. So I just like to keep that clean for myself. And then if I double click it, it comes back. So it's not hidden or gone forever. So that's just something, if you have, if your students or if you are working on a device and looking at all of those tabs becomes too much, all you have to do is double click it, it goes away. Did you guys know that? See, look at that. Some of us did good. Okay, so that's just something. Sometimes distractions around can impede some of our information. So I wanted to show you guys another thing. This document might not be the best to show it for, but I wanted to show you something under the File tab. When I go under File, if you are ever, has anyone ever used like a reader, like the Immersive Reader option in a document? I'm going to show it to you in just a minute. Okay, some of us have, some of us haven't. I wanted to show you guys a place that you can check your document to see if it will impede Immersive Reader from reading all contents. So under your File tab, you're going to go to this tile that says Check for Issues. So the Immersive Reader allows for a reader to read. It allows for Microsoft to read your document to the user. And so the thing that you want to make sure you do is you make sure you check your document to check its accessibility. So I'm going to say check accessibility. So what it's going to do over here on the right is it's going to scan my document to find out if anything that I have included will impede the user from being able to, will impede Immersive Reader for being able to read. So over here to the right, you can see that one of my warnings is that this hyperlink is unclear. So the Immersive Reader is going to read each of those each of those characters, and it's telling me, it's cautioning, saying that that might be a little unclear for the Immersive Reader. I can choose to, hold on guys, I have you guys hovered over there. Okay, I can choose to click the warning that it's given me, and I can say, it's down here, it's telling you why you should fix it and how to fix it. So it's just giving you options. If I had a picture here, Immersive Reader cannot read a picture. And so the picture would pop up here and it would tell me, you might want to give a description of the picture so that Immersive Reader can describe that to the reader as they're reading. I'll try to show you guys that in another example with an actual picture so you could see that. But I just wanted to show you guys that. Did you guys know that accessibility checker was even an option within your under File? Did you guys know that? It's something that has been added because when you have reading tools, you want to make sure that it's giving an explanation of what is being read. So sometimes pictures are a big example of things that you should check in accessibility checker. Okay, so we'll come back to that. The other thing that I wanted to show you, so I'm done. I'm leaving the eyes, and I'm gonna look under my View tab here, and we are going to look at the option that says Read Mode. When you're in read mode, it basically takes everything, all the other options from your screen, and it enables you to use the Immersive Reader option. So let me back out of this part. I'm going to go back into my edit, and I'm going to go back to view. And so that read mode clears everything up so that it can be read without all the other distractions. Okay. And then the last thing that I wanted to show you within Word was the option to dictate. I don't see where it went. Oh, I have to be in my online version. I'll pull up the online version to show you guys that example. Okay, now, so we have looked at the different tools that are with under our review tab. We looked at our translate option. We looked at the accessibility checker, and we also were able to double tap to our tabs to minimize our distraction. Now, the good thing as it relates to these accessibility tools, they are within our other Microsoft tools, but I wanted to show you something that was specific to PowerPoint. So within PowerPoint, I'm going to stop sharing my screen because I see that y'all can see a gray screen. Give me a moment. Let's reshare. All right, so there's my PowerPoint. This is actually a new feature to PowerPoint. It requires you to download a presentation translator add-in, which is very easy. But I wanted to show you guys that, well, I'll give you some background. So I had a student that I'm sure I'm not the only person that has had something similar to this, that came, and they came their first day in my class, and that was their first day attending school in the States, in the United States. And they actually spoke Spanish. And it was very difficult for me to even give that student instructions, right? And so then I tried, and I feel like this is a mistake that a lot of us make, where I tried to give that person a buddy, right? A person that I knew spoke Spanish, just from our relationship. And so I paired those two students together, and it was almost unfair to the student that was in my class for so long, because they were almost responsible for their work and then translating what I was saying to the other students. Has anyone ever done that? Am I alone? Am I by myself in that? Okay. So it's all done in like good intentions, right? You're trying to make sure that that student is not completely alone, so you give them a friend, right? But that other student was honest with me one day and said, Miss Johnson, it's really hard for me to keep up with what you're saying for myself and to translate it to this other student. And I kind of felt bad. I was like, oh gosh, so what do I do? So I found myself using Translator, and using Translator and translating my instructions. But this is an awesome tool. And so within PowerPoint, you guys, we have the option to have a live translator within. So I'm going to show you this. So I've already downloaded the presentation translator, and I'll share the link with how you do that. But once you do that, you're going to go to this tab that says view. I'm going to stop sharing for a minute. And I'm going to come over to my other device, guys. Okay, so over here, up here at the top, there is I'm trying to move a bar. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to move Casey, Jennifer, how do I move this gray bar from the top? It's not, it's in the way for me to click what I'm trying to click up here. Let's see if I can minimize it. There it goes. Okay. I got it, guys.
Okay.
So up here at the top, we are going to click the option that says slideshow. Okay. And over here, remember, it's an add-in that I've included, and I'm going to share that link with you guys so that you can use it as well. So typically when I'm in my class and I'm about to do a lecture, I would just start my slideshow from the beginning. Okay. Now over here to the right, when you download the presentation translator, you get this option that says start subtitles. And what this is going to do, it's going to ask you, what language will you be speaking? Well, English is my first language, so I'm going to be speaking English. But in the case where I had that student that was a, like, he hadn't even been tested for the ESOL program. And so I knew that he spoke Spanish. So this is what I want my subtitles to be displayed in. And so then I'm going to click next. Now, what the presentation is doing is it is taking what I am saying. And if you guys notice, what do you see is happening in the black bar across the top? What do you guys notice? It's translating my exact words of what I'm saying. So now you have, it's live translation, exactly. So if you are able to read Spanish, then you would be able to tell us the accuracy of what's going on and what's being spoken. But the awesome thing with the Translate app is I could also have my student, you guys notice that QR code? The student could scan the QR code and then my presentation would be on their device as well as the captions. You have up to 250 people could be in the Translate app for your presentation, and they could choose the language that they want to hear in, okay? Or they want their subtitles in. Okay, so if I go through my presentation and I'm talking about plate tectonics and whatnot, this is happening live. So then I started thinking, yes, this is great for like during instruction, but how many times have we had to meet with a parent and we couldn't get a hold of, somebody said shut the front door. How many times have we had to hold a meeting with a parent and we were unable to get a translator? We had a teacher, luckily, that spoke Spanish, but sometimes, you know, there's another misconception. That teacher, of course, they don't mind helping, but it's unfair to always assume that that teacher is going to be on call and standby to be your translator, right? So I thought that this was an awesome, awesome tool in class for instruction. Yes, wonderful. But also, I could basically pull this up. If I had some information about the student's progress, I could basically drop it in my slide, right? So it would be there, but then I could narrate what was going on. The great thing, guys, like I said, this little, you get this QR code / this website. They could go to www.translate.it, and then they put in my code here, and they can even talk to the app. And so if they spoke in their language, it could be translated to English so that I could see their question in my language and be able to speak back to them. And so Dr. Williams was fortunate enough, she took a trip to Paris and they used a lot of Microsoft's translation tools to speak to people. She was in Paris, she won a trip, and there were people from all over the world there. And so they were using the Translate app to be able to speak with one another. And I just thought that this was a very, very great tool to share with you guys. Super easy to use, but the value in it is definitely like amazing. So tell me, guys, what do you guys think about that? Good. So when I'm done or when I'm ready to end the Translate, if I click the ellipsis, I have an option. I can save the transcript. So if I wanted to save everything that was discussed during this presentation, I can click that. or I can choose to just stop. Like right now, I'm ready to stop the subtitle, so I'll just click stop. Okay. There's options as well for the questions, like you can mute the users from being able to ask questions until the end, and then you can address those questions in English, but then the answer to the questions would be, of course, demonstrated or shown in Spanish or whatever language, because as you saw, there were so many languages to choose from. Okay, so that is our presentation translator with PowerPoint. The other thing that I wanted to show you, remember I said that these accessibility tools, they transcend across the different tools. So I wanted to show you guys the option of dictate. Dictate also is available in Word, but I wanted to show you all that if I choose the dictate option, if I choose dictate, it is going to begin typing what I'm saying. So down here at the bottom, you see how it's typing my words. They're in white now, so it's going to disappear. So for our students that may struggle with being able to always type, maybe giving them the option. I always say I like to give options for my accommodations. When we do multiple choice assessments, I start the year with some of my students where they have a 50-50. There's only 2 answers that they have to choose from. And then as the year progresses, I add an additional answer choice so that I am basically providing and scaffolding them and preparing them, of course, for what they are going to get ready to do. We have a lot of kids that struggle with typing, but giving them the option to dictate would be really cool. The thing about dictate is I make sure that I let my kids know if you want to have a punctuation, you have to articulate that punctuation. So at the end of your sentence, you have to say question mark or period or exclamation in order for the dictate tool to recognize that that's the end of a sentence or end of a thought, which is very, I think, a great learning tool because they have to acknowledge that, oh, this is the end of my sentence, so I need a period. So there are ways to, a lot of times some people say, well, if we use all of these tools, we're going to handicap our students and they're not going to be prepared. I don't 100% believe that. I believe that with each tool, you have to show the pros and the cons. So that is a pro, that it's cutting down the time in which they need to use to actually type. However, there are other tools that that you're building in. You're building in that they have to recognize punctuation and things like that. So I think that that's really, really awesome. Did you guys know about the dictate tool? Okay, very, very, very good. I'm glad we're sharing some good stuff with you guys. I'm going to switch back to my Word document very briefly to show, we talked about the thesaurus a little bit and the word count. So I don't know if I don't know if you guys are familiar with thesaurus. We know what a thesaurus is, but when you click on a word and you go to your review option and you click the thesaurus, you are able to get all types of synonyms to those words. So if you're working on writing with your students and you find that they're using the same word over and over, my daughter's in 2nd grade and one of her words is good. Oh, that was good. Okay, so let's think of another word for good. And so we talk about that. Unfortunately or fortunately, these babies that we have, they're not going to be as accustomed to picking up a physical thesaurus or a physical dictionary. So it's very important that we equip them with being able to use the tools that are right in front of them. And so I would challenge my kids to look through their writing piece and find maybe 3 words that you use over and over, and maybe find a way to replace those using the Thesaurus tool. Were we familiar with the Thesaurus tool? Very good. Now, were you familiar? Do you think your students know about the Thesaurus tool? That's a different question. Okay, good. So that's what this is about. Like a lot of this is for us. Sometimes we know these things, but we aren't always, I don't know, we just don't always share that with the students. Okay. I wanted to show you guys another accessibility option. How many people, a lot of times we use the Google Chrome browser, correct? Does anybody use the Edge browser? It looks like it's going to be Internet Explorer, but it's actually Microsoft's Internet Browser Edge. Okay, most of us are saying no. I'm going to show you something that I use Edge for that to me is beneficial. So all I did was open up Microsoft Edge. And I'm going to click, why not? Let's click this news story. I'm melting a little butter and cleaning up some milk. The right screen, guys. Sorry about that. And my favorite macaroni seasoning. So let's see if we can go to Google, our Microsoft Edge browser, and cheese. I'm just giving you the good old processed stuff. Perry, Leslie Perry, can you mute your microphone for us, please? Way to get Okay, so I'm in Edge. This is something specific to Microsoft Edge. So I'm just gonna pull up anything. Okay, oh my God. So one of the biggest issues when we send kids online. So here is an article about raised sharks and dolphins. A lot of times when we send our students to read, they unfortunately have all of this background ads and whatnot. I am going to show you guys how we can eliminate that extra information. Okay. So when we go in Microsoft Edge, this is something that is specific to Microsoft Edge, guys. So within, I'm going to click, you see how I have these different tools. So the first thing is you can add notes right here in an article. Now remember, this is specific to just Edge. Oh, you got a gray screen. Let me reshare. Okay, now let me reshare, guys. Sorry about that. How about now? What do you guys see now?
Yes, we see your screen.
So I wanted to show you a couple of the tools in Edge. So within Edge, we have options where we can highlight the article. So right here, we have some annotation options. I can highlight, I can create a note. So if I'm typing, I can create a note here within my document, okay? I can erase if I have something, if I wanted to erase, I can take that off. And so this is just a tool that could be used within a classroom. It could be used for you if you were projecting an article on a screen and we were talking about various parts of the article. I could do some annotation. We could talk about main idea. We could do all of that directly on the screen and annotate. The good thing here is I could also save whatever notes that we made to our document. I thought that that was a cool thing to share. I'm not going to say it. The other thing that we have within that is the option to read aloud. Muted.
Rays, sharks, and dolphins enjoy you.
So that is that option is under the ellipsis in Edge, and it's the read aloud option. Okay. The other thing I wanted to show you was this option right here that is hidden under this. I could turn this into the reading view. And when I click reading view, what you should notice is that all the ads from the screen have been eliminated. So this is one of the tricks that I like about Edge. The little book, when you click the book, it takes away all of the distractions. So now I see my pictures, but you don't see those ads. CNN didn't have too many on this article, but if you notice, there's nothing. It's just the words of the article. If you use some of the other, I believe Internet Explorer, sometimes when you use the reader option, it's going to read the side panels as well, the ads. And so that can be a distraction because that's not a part of what I need my students to read, correct? So this is a great option. I've used this with my daughter if she's using my computer to read something, and I just put in the reading view so that it only shows the things that I want her to see. What do you guys think about that? Edge is just a part of what comes with your computer. Mine was just floating down here because I've used it before. If you use this little search bar down here, if you just type in Microsoft Edge, you'll have access to it. So guys, that all of those tools were all Microsoft tools, okay? But what did we say? We said that we have options, right? What is our other option of different tools that we could use, or another brand, I guess? Right, so Google. So Google is another brand that we could use. Let me backtrack. The accessibility tools that I showed you guys in PowerPoint and Word are also, the majority of them are also housed in, if you're a OneNote user, you can access those in OneNote and the other Microsoft apps, okay? So I'm gonna show you a few Google accessibility tools. Did you guys know that our students, the Chromebooks that they use are Google devices, or they use Google software. So Google is also important to use as well, right? Or to know. So what I have here. Do I have a gray screen or can you guys see? Okay, good. So within, this is a document that Dr. Williams shared with me. It's just a Google document, but I wanted to show you guys some of the accessibility features within Google. So if I come over here under the tab that says tools, some of the same things, some of these look familiar, right? We have the spelling and grammar tool. You have a personal dictionary here. So I can highlight a word and click dictionary. So for example, if I was unfamiliar with the word constructive, I highlight the word and then I click dictionary, or it even shows you the little shortcut option. And when I click that over here to the right, I get my dictionary. Did you guys know that Google Docs had an embedded dictionary? Yeah, good. Some of us did, some of us didn't. Good. So that's an option for you and your students to use that option. The same option lives under tool to do voice typing. So just like we did the dictate option in Microsoft, if I click voice typing, I'm going to scroll somewhere where there is no text. And I'm going to click the microphone. And when I click the microphone, it's going to begin to dictate what I am saying, period. So when I click it, it stops it, but it even gives you some advice here. It says you can say period and new line. So if I want it to drop down to a new line, I actually have to say the words new line. So I love that option, as we've already talked about the pros of dictate. So that is the voice typing. Then if we also all of this lives under tools. I also have the option to translate my document. So the same option that you have, it's going to say we're going to create a new example, a new document, and the front of it says translated copy. So it's going to take whatever the name of your document is, and it's going to say translated copy, and then you choose your language. I did French last time, didn't I? So let's say, look at all these languages. Let's go to Spanish this time. If I click Spanish and I click the word translate, it's opening up a new tab and it's translating my document. And now my document is in Spanish. What do you guys think about that? Great. So remember, all of those things live under tools. All of that is under tools. Now, I wanted to tell you guys, the cool thing with Google is that you have all options to get add-ons. The same way I talked about that Microsoft for Education tells you you're able to learn through self-guided courses, you're able to do the same thing in Google, and I'll drop that link as well. But add-ons within Google kind of change the game as well. And so you can search different add-ons to see if they will give you what you're looking for to do. It's the same thing as downloading an app on your computer, or add-ons, they enhance the tool. And so, for example, I use an add-on in Microsoft Forms to eliminate choices or things like that. So if you're not familiar with that, I encourage you to get on the Google Education courses and just learn, use this opportunity to learn and build your toolbox. Okay, so I'll go back to my original document that's in English. And we talked about the different things that live under tools. And the other thing, just like in Microsoft had the accessibility checker, you can check your accessibility settings here under this tab to see if what you are typing or what you have written will work well with accessibility. So if I go to my accessibility check, it tells me if I wanted to turn on screen reader report, it gives you all of these things, and it tells you required for Braille support. If you click this little question, you have students that require Braille or need assistance. It'll tell you what things you need in order to help that student. So I thought that was a great tool. I haven't had to work with a student that needed Braille, but I have used, like I show my kids how they can increase the magnification on their device by holding down Control and the plus sign. And so that increases magnification. Just little tricks and tools that kind of help your students and also help you. Okay. So guys, that is the end of what I wanted to share with you guys. I saw a few questions pop up. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And then I'm going to make sure that we covered some of those things. I want to make sure, let me grab the Microsoft Education courses that you guys can find. They literally have courses on everything in the Microsoft suite. So if you are interested, thank you, Dr. Williams. If you are interested in the accessibility tools, you can definitely take that course, or a course on anything. If you are interested in learning more about any of the different Microsoft options, then that is a great place to start. Mr. Tremaldi asked about the accuracy of the translation. That information is within Microsoft. They talk about the accuracy. So I don't know the percentage off the top of my head, but that they speak about that within their documents. They talk about that. You guys have been awesome. Today was about accessibility tools for everyone in the classroom. And so I hope that you found something that you can use for yourself. I hope that you found something that you think that would be beneficial to your students, even though we are in the area of distance learning. I am sure that your students would appreciate all of your attempts you make to make things easier for them and your parents as well. Somebody asked about downloading the Translate. If you go to that link that we dropped about Microsoft Education, it tells you exactly how to obtain that link, how to obtain the Translator add-on. You guys have been amazing, amazing, amazing. I hope you have a great afternoon. I believe today our next afternoon session is Canvas, I believe. Am I right, ladies? I don't have the schedule in front of me. I'm sorry. Sway, come back this afternoon. You guys have an awesome afternoon.